What's up, Top 10 fam? I'm your host Eamon Hassan. Welcome back to another Top 10 video.
How's it going, guys? I'm Jared Bronstein.
He's back at it again. He just keeps coming back.
Damn, Daniel.
Before we get into it, guys, do make sure to check out our other channel, Top 10 Central. We have both hosts on it. Joss is on it. It's funny, it's not scary, it's a good time. Check it out if you guys want to.
It's a little cringy, which is why I was doing that. I'm a little cringy, I guess.
He's a little cringy.
Just a little bit.
I'm always like, why are we doing this?
Why am I here like this?
So let's just get straight into it, guys. These are the top 10 scary Ouija boards that destroyed lives.
Starting us off at number 10, Reddit user Turtle Shell Magic's story. Now this one is crazy, referring to her best friends as M and L for the sake of the story, goes as follows. At M's house, the gang was using a Ouija board and asked how the spirit died, to which it responded murder. When they asked the spirit for the details of the murder, it responded, not I. It also gave a name which the user couldn't remember and a date from the 1800s. Then the mood in the room just changed. The planchette was ripped out of the girl's hands and flew across the room. At that point, they put the box away and stopped playing with it. A week later, M's mother suddenly passed away from cancer. It was a total surprise as no one knew she was ill. Not long after, L's mom was hospitalized for having a severe drinking problem. And that same week, this user's mother had an emergency hysterectomy surgery. They claim the board must have had something to do with it, and ever since that night, they've heard voices, footsteps, and seen dark shadows. It'd been 9 years and the Reddit user still felt as if they were haunted.
Coming in at number 9 now, we have the Winged Shadow. So this one's from Jo, who played with the Ouija board with her friend. They were communicating with some sort of spirit, but its replies didn't seem malevolent, so they just stopped playing. Determined not to be hit with any kind of bad juju, the friend got rid of the board, and that was that. But every night at 3:15 AM, Jo started waking up feeling completely terrified. She had no idea why, but she got the feeling someone was in her room with her, and she would refuse to look in that direction of the room. This continued for a few weeks before she investigated that corner in the daytime to find the Ouija board there, despite literally seeing her friend get rid of it. Jo threw it away again, but again she kept waking up at 3:15 and realized the board was somehow back in her room. Even her roommate started saying her part of the house just seemed shadowy and creepy. The shadows inside her room were also getting worse to the point there'd be 4 nights a week she legit wouldn't even sleep. One night her dog kept growling and crying at something behind her while she was walking through her house, and she was like, shit, is there something behind me? She slowly turned around and what she saw made her heart stop. She ran for her life as fast as she could away from the monster literally coming after her. This entity was a huge thing that had wings stretching from the ceiling to the floor. Its body didn't touch the ground and its head was cloaked and also not attached to the body. After getting to her room, she locked herself in the bathroom and stayed there all night. Anne has since gone through extensive therapy, and I mean, I get it, I would have to as well.
Moving on to number 8 from Reddit user Hammerhands. So a group of college friends decided to gather in a dorm room one night and take out the Ouija board. Some had used one before while others were skeptical it worked at all. Around 11 PM they had one of their skeptics named Gary sit down and communicate. He asked if it was real or all BS, to which the planchette rushed over to no. Gary then asked for the board to prove it was the real deal, which is when the lights started to flicker in the dorm and the building's fire alarm went off. The students were all evacuated outside, so they locked their door and headed out. After about 20 minutes it was determined to be a false alarm, so the students returned back to their dorm room only to find that the Ouija board had gone missing. And who knows what happened to Gary ever since that night. I certainly haven't heard from him.
Coming in at number 7 is Angela Jackson. Now, Angela attended a spiritualist meeting wherein a psychic gave her a warning that her deceased dad was trying to tell her. He said, "You're thinking about using a Ouija board? Don't. No good will come of it." Ignoring this, she went to her neighbor's house and pulled out her own homemade Ouija board. Like, really, Angela? Just listen to your dad. He knows better. The two started playing and the spirit spelled out that it wanted to speak to Angela and then spelled out, "Die, bitch." The spirit claimed he was Satan and he had been murdered just like you will be. Honestly, firstly, how does one even murder Satan? Can you even murder Satan? Anyway, the glass they were using as a planchette then flew across the room and shattered, and at that point they were like, okay, well this is over. Over the next few months, Angela tried to convince her friends to contact the spirit again, but she never communicated with Satan again. Having given up and forgotten about it, she was on her way to her son's house one day when she heard a growl behind her of a man saying, "Die, bitch." Why did he say that? She turned around and saw a man wielding a claw hammer which he used to hit her on the head twice. Angela ended up waking up in the hospital with a fractured skull, alive, but still lives in fear that she'll get murdered one day.
And into the number 6 spot, the Mexican Ouija board story. 22-year-old Alexandra Huerta, her brother 23-year-old Sergio Huerta, and their 18-year-old cousin Fernando Cuvez were all hospitalized after messing around with a Ouija board while in Mexico. Apparently just minutes into using the board, the three young adults were showing symptoms of someone possessed. More specifically, Alexandra was growling and flailing her arms as if she was being controlled by an evil entity. Sergio and Fernando allegedly started showing symptoms of blindness, deafness, and hallucinations. At first, the family's parents asked a priest to perform an exorcism, but he refused because they weren't regular churchgoers. The family then called paramedics who had to restrain Alexandra so she wouldn't hurt herself or anyone else, and provided all through with painkillers, sedatives, and eye drops, which seemed to work and stop whatever it was that took over these three young adults.
Now at number 5 is the Nuisance. This one's from Jeanette K, who said this happened to her when she was 11 years old. Now Jeanette's sister and two friends decided to play with a homemade Ouija board while she was doing homework in the next room. A few minutes go by and she sees this person walk by the kitchen, but it wasn't a person. It was a solid black shadow of a man, and he had made no sounds or footsteps. She brushed it off as her just seeing things, but then her little brother was like, "Did you just see that shadow too?" So now she was like, damn it was definitely real. Their sister and her friends came in at that moment saying they stopped playing because the spirit had left. And I mean, she wasn't wrong, it did leave the game, but it didn't leave their lives. It started haunting them at home, opening and closing doors at any given time of the day, loud footsteps when no one else was home, random cold spots throughout the house, lights flickering on and off for no reason, you know the whole haunting spiel by now. The spirit would even push their mattress from beneath when they were asleep. Like, it was just a very general nuisance all around, and it stayed with them for 5 more years before finally leaving.
Sliding to number 4, Reddit user No Springs. When our friend here was about 12 or 13 years old, they decided to get together with some friends and play Ouija. At first, the board started spelling things out that apparently scared them, and then wrote out, "I could see you through the window," followed by "I could see you through his eyes," and then "I'm under the car." Somehow this group of brave teens mustered up the courage to go outside into the dark night and check under the car, where they found a hissing black cat. Bad vibes. Of course, scared to death, the group of friends ran back inside, which is when the power immediately shut off. A few minutes later, it turned back on, but the group decided to stay up all night long and never touch the board again.
Filling our number 3 slot is Jackson. Now this story was shared by Carol, and it occurred back in 1978 when she was about 12 years old. While her dad was at work, her and her mum decided to play with a Ouija board. Nice mother-daughter bonding activity. Her mum asked who they were speaking to, and the planchette spelled out Jackson, even though none of them knew a Jackson. She then asked if he was a good spirit, and he replied saying no. She asked how he died next, but the planchette didn't move. Getting a bit scared at this point, her mum said, "Since you're not gonna tell us, we're gonna say goodbye now," and then Jackson pointed to no. Adamant on leaving, her mum said goodbye, and then so did Jackson. That night, Carol heard this growling sound coming through from underneath her floor, and so she went and got her mum to investigate, but as soon as she walked into the room, it just stopped. Her mum also smoked cigarettes, but that night her cigs smelled like sulfur, and she claimed they tasted like it too. Things are getting pretty sus at this point, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, 3 days later, the growling started up again, and they got the dad to go out and investigate, but there was nothing outside, no animal, nothing that could have made that sound. It got louder and started getting more guttural, and at this point everyone was shitting themselves, like everyone. Her mom started yelling at the floor and telling it to stop, and after 2 hours it finally did. The next day her mom got quite sick, and her temperature was around 102 degrees. Fahrenheit, not Celsius, I'm not gonna make that same mistake again. Ha! They took her to the hospital and they found that she had an infection all through her body, and had they left it 1 more day she would have died. The family believed that Jackson must have died from a blood infection that he was never treated for, and that's how the mom's condition came about, because she was completely healthy before that.
And at 2, the killer Ouija board. Way back in 1935, a man was arrested for shooting his wife in the back a total of 4 times. The man claimed he did it in self-defense, as he was being abused by his wife on a regular basis. The reason for the abuse? His wife would communicate with the Ouija board every week, which would tell her the alleged things her husband had been doing. One of those things had been cheating with a neighbor. Another was that he gave that neighbor a large sum of money. At first, the wife would try to call her husband out for the lie, saying she caught him again. Then things got worse, as she would tie him to bedposts with wires and whip him. Eventually, she started to prod him and stab his shins with a knife. It wasn't until she had a gun to his head that he would confess to everything, just telling her what she wanted to hear in hopes of stopping the abuse. After she let him free and stepped away for a moment, the husband saw his chance and grabbed the gun she left on the nightstand. He shot her, and upon explaining his story to the courts, his killing was justified due to the fact that this man feared for for his life.
And finally, at number 1, we have the goodbye. Now this one was shared by Redditor Celine the Moon Tyson, and she said that when she was 14, she and her 2 friends decided to play with a Ouija board. They didn't think anything would happen until the planchette started spelling out hello. Intrigued, they started asking the thing questions like where it was, etc., and it responded vaguely, but then all of a sudden it started moving towards random letters and numbers on its own. Freaking out, they stopped playing, stuffed the board back in the box, and tried to forget what just happened. And that's where it all went tits up. Now the whole weekend after that, they could tell there was some sinister energy in the air. On the Monday, the user saw a tall, shadowy figure standing in the corner of her bedroom, just looking at her, but she tried to convince herself she was just seeing things. People need to stop doing that. You are seeing what you are seeing. That night, she felt a heavy sensation on her body all night, and when she woke up, she had scratches all over her arms. Coincidence? I think not. It got worse the more time went on. The user started hearing voices and would wake up with bruises. A year later, she moved house, but the spirit went with her. It would throw her off her bed every single night, so we know it was attached to her, not the house. She claims now her whole body is filled with bruises, and the voices she hears have been getting so loud to the point sometimes she can't even think because the voices are all she hears. She would go places and just not remember going there, and the last thing she remembered was a spirit in the corner of her room saying, "You will join us, we will pull you in." Ugh. Would not like to be her, I'm sorry. And that's it for today's video, guys.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. I really do appreciate popping in every now and then. And I think I got another video with the lovely, I don't know what her nickname is, Aimster?
Ames. No.
I don't know, Ames?
Ames.
What do you guys call her?
The best host one, most amazing top now.
That's the one.
But anyway, let us know what you guys thought in the comments below.
And be sure to check out Top 10 Central. We got some of the best hosts in the game, of course,
Yeah.
myself and Eamon. We got the man himself, Landon Do Not Sing, and then Joss Bedard.
The dirt.
It's Bedard, it's not Bedard. But you guys gotta check out the channel. Click right over here. We got also a link in the description down below, and I hope to see you guys there.
Bye. He's back at it again.
Back at it
He
again.
just keeps coming back.
Damn, Daniel.
No.
Anyways, guys, today we'll be counting down the top 10 Ouija boards that ruined lives.
Top 10 scary.
Right, scary is always in the title. Anyways, guys, today we'll be counting down the top 10 scary Ouija boards that ruined lives. I've never...
Destroyed lives.
Okay, you just say it.
I think it's destroyed lives. No, say it again. Come on, you got this.
Today we'll be counting down the top 10 scary Ouija boards that destroyed lives, that ruined lives. I don't care. They did something to your life. It's over. Just deal with it. You could say it this time, because I'm clearly not having it. The planchette was ripped. It's planchette, right? That's how you say it? Not planchette? Planchette?
Yeah. To find the Ouija board there just by literally seeing her. What the f was that?
I certainly haven't heard from him. Have you?
No.
Now at number 7 is Alexandra Huerta.
And into the number 6 spot, the Mexican Ouija board story. 22-year-old Alexandra Huerta. 22-year-old. How would you say his last name? Huerta? Huerta?
Wait, did we just do this? I just did this one.
Shut up, bro.
No!
Dog. I wrote this one first.
I'm sorry, I didn't read yours!
That's you. This is a you problem.
I'm sorry. Okay, fine. I'll find another one!
Like, you have to find it right now.
Gotta do an insert.
Hey guys, just so we all are aware, including whoever's editing this video, I scripted my part and then I started the next video that I'm helping her with.
Don't throw me under the bus! I love how you listened to me do the one before and you didn't realize what you were actually doing.
I wasn't listening. I was
You don't listen to what?
No, it was on my phone.
Do you listen? No one listens to me. The two started playing.
It's a mouse drill.
I thought that was an actual mouse. The two started playing and the spirit spelled out that.
And provided all through with painkillers, I was gonna say sedatives. Can you see my hoodie?
What do you mean?
Like, can you see from here down?
No, it's literally cut off where your hands is right there.
Okay, because I have my phone here. I'm like, it probably looks weird if I was like.
And she said that when. And she said. Blah,